Malee Oyua here, Sacred Fire Creative, and today we are live with Jan Engels-Smith. And I want to tell you, I love to interview inspirational leaders in our community and also throughout the world. To me, it's really important that we have business owners who are not only passionate about what they do, but who are creating a positive impact in this world. And I am so blessed to be able to interview today Jan Engels-Smith because she is creating a positive impact and one that I'm very familiar with. And I'm so honored today to be able to interview her. She's the founder of, I'm going to read it just so that I get the full name of it correctly. So bear with me here for a sec. So she's the founder of LightSong School of 21st Century Shamanism and Energy Medicine. One of the things that I wrote here is actually from her website. So she says, whether your goal is personal growth, empowerment, understanding your own divinity, joyful attainment of your dreams, or pursuing a path as a shamanic practitioner. So she intends that you experience profound transformation and a renewed sense of purpose when you enroll in LightSong School of 21st Century Shamanism and Energy Medicine. So I just love that. And Jan, we're so honored to have you on here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about LightSong? Anything you want to share with us today?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Malee. Yes, it's an honor to be here. I really appreciate that. And for me, most of my professional life, I have been very involved with how to create wellness in people and in the world. I actually started my career as a young woman as a biology and chemistry teacher. So I was really involved with young people, teenagers, and like what made them happy, what made them well. I was very involved with them as a teacher besides just the classroom type of functions. And then I went on from that into getting my upper graduate degrees in psychology. And again, that question of why does it take people so long to heal? I didn't understand that. And I didn't want to do long-term therapy. I didn't want to see somebody for 10 years. I was like, there's more to life than not feeling well and not being healthy. And I was introduced to shamanism through a very shamanic way. I had a mystical experience that I won't go into now, but that mystical experience turned my life inside out and upside down. And I realized that these old ancient practices, and shamanism actually is dated back about 100,000 years, which is the oldest known healing modality on the planet. I mean, I don't even think of humans being around 100,000 years ago, but National Geographic actually dated it back that far. And I realized that in these old traditions, there was things that were viable and they knew what they were talking about as far as wellness was concerned. And that is that we are first and foremost a soul or an energy system having a human experience. But we have to address and maintain and maintenance our energy system if we really want to be healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And shamanism or energy medicine does that. And so I went through all the training. I did all the things that I needed to do to become versed in this, and then started my private practice using these techniques. And what I found as a psychotherapist is that people were finished with their therapy within about a month, which to me was amazing, phenomenal results. Mm-hmm. And with those results, I've been doing this now for about 25, 26 years. And so in that amount of time, I completely converted my private practice over to those techniques and actually have over 3,500 soul retrievals under my belt, which is probably more than anybody else that exists. I mean, it is a huge amount of soul retrieval techniques, maintaining that soul for people. And then also founded a school, because as I was working with people and they were becoming better, and that's, again, mentally, physically, emotionally, they said, how do you do this? I want to do this. I want to learn what you're doing. And so I started this little group of people in my basement, many years ago, that whoever I had worked on, I'd say, okay, let's all meet up together and I'll teach you how to do this. And so now that's led to a school, and we are accredited. We have the only bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs that are out there really reputable out there in shamanism and energy medicine. So that's where it's led. And it's just my delight. It's my passion. I love the results that I see in people, and it can be applied anywhere in all walks of life. Mm-hmm. It's not a religion. It's not anything like that. It's just a style of maintenance and maintaining the energy of your soul, keeping it in healthy conditions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and for introducing this. One of the things I want to say is, so for anybody who's watching us live, I see you on there, but I can't tell who you are right now. So just type some hi in the comments there. Let us know that you're watching and that you can hear us. And then the other thing is, let us know where you're watching from. I'm always curious about that. And if you have questions for Jan that you want answered today, feel free to type them in the comments and I'll bring them up. So for example, right now, I had typed earlier, please feel free to share. So go ahead and share this broadcast. If you're watching us on the replay, thank you again for watching. And again, type in the comments any questions you have, tell us where you're watching from, and we'll be sure to get those questions to Jan and get them answered. All right. Jim, thank you so much. So Jim says he's watching from Dallas, Texas, and he said it's raining here. It's also raining
here. A friend of mine.
So hi, Jim. Thanks so much for watching. And again, if you're watching, my friend Deborah's on. Hi, Deborah. Thanks for watching from Atlanta. Really honored to have you watching today. Thank you so much. And, to me, this is really important information. I love how Jan describes her process and journey. Jan, thank you so much. So, so many things you said there bring up some questions for me, and I want to kind of unpack them and describe them a little bit. So for example, one of the things you're talking about is true wellness, really mentally, physically, emotionally, and I would say spiritually. And it is a spiritual community, but it's not a religion. So it's not something that conflicts with other religions, and it doesn't change, what you believe in that sense. And I would say that I love where you're coming from the heart, because it's really about people's wellness. And for me, in my own journey, through LightSong, I know that first of all, I'm always working on myself. So it's one of those things, it never ends, right? So personal growth, it's just this ongoing journey. But I love that you're coming from this place of personal development, personal growth, and wellness, true wellness. And so what kind of objections do you get from people, or have you gotten? 26 years, this is truly your passion. You've seen it work a million times. You've done 3,500 soul retrievals, more than anybody on this planet. What kind of objections do you have, the people have when they're thinking about doing this work or entering into this? And what do you have to say about that?
Well, because we deal with the spirit realm and the invisible realms, there's always the idea of, is this woo-woo, or is this, kind of out there? I don't even have the words for it. That is probably the most common. And I would say that what I believe is that it's because we in the Western culture have really lost our abilities to see and to interact with this other part of life that is actually there. And I've done actually a lot of research around this and found that there's a big difference. It kind of boils down between the left brain and the right brain. And we are a really left brain dominant society where we have this adage of I'll believe it when I see it. And we're not developing the right side of our brain. Actually, when we're born whole brained or actually more right brained. And even in our society, we think of right brain as being art or music or the creative side. But actually, it's also the place that we dream. And if you can think of dreaming where things don't have to have cause and effect or sequential order, such as you can be in a room and then be on a mountaintop in a flash, you don't have a way of knowing how you got there. That whole world of being able to see things differently and having magic and not having to follow physical law is part of who we are. It's part of our brain. And when you tap into that right brain, that's also where the spirit realms are, the other dimensions. And I look at the whole thing of shamanism and wellness as being whole brained and not being just a left brain dominant, which we've done to our society of people. And so I don't see it as woo-woo at all. I just see it as being a full human being and being able to tap into these skills and qualities that are naturally there. And that's what I teach people how to do. It's like, let's just pop over into the right side of the brain here for a little while and see what's going on.
I love that. Mm-hmm. And, I think it is really important that people know that you come from this scientific background. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize that it stretched even back further to like biology, chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, you came from like the psychotherapy background and everything. But to me, that just makes it even more grounded.
Yes.
More,
people always say that about me. You're so grounded.
Grounded. Because some people know that my background is in aerospace engineering. So right. A lot of science here. We test things and we have like empirical evidence and things like that. And so here I am, bridging the gap between, the creative, imaginative side and the scientific side. And I feel that you do that too. Yes. In many ways for people. You do that for other people. Mm-hmm. You tend to help them realize that, okay, here's this part of you that like existed when you were born, that you aren't accessing as much as you can. And here are the tools that you can use to access it. Right. So to me, in that way, that's how we can ground it and can say, let's take those words woo-woo out of this mm-hmm. and no longer have to even defend that, right? So these obstacles that people have, I think are really interesting. And I do feel like they're kind of going away. They're kind of, going to the wayside because of the grounding in science and also because there's so many results.
Quantum physics. Mm-hmm. Quantum physics is actually proving, I just did a whole study this summer on it's on much of my podcasts, of the experiments that I read and then told people about that were in quantum physics that actually qualified shamanism down to a T. I mean, they're just fascinating. And quantum physics is finally breaking through the scientific community, and it's what shamans have been saying for thousands of years. So there's beautiful correlations there for sure.
Wonderful. And so why don't we segue and talk a little bit more about your podcast? Sure. So tell us a little bit about, what you're doing and how people can find you and, what you have coming up in the future.
Well, there's a few things. The podcast is really a token of love on my part. There's just so many things that I enjoy sharing with people, and I was looking for a venue to do that. And so it started off with having people call in and ask questions, which then I was answering them from a shamanic perspective, like this is how we would heal from this incident, or this is how we would address this family dynamic of something that they were struggling with, whatever their questions were. And then I also started talking about some of the case studies of things that I worked with, as well as just different topics that people were interested in. And so I would have different people that I would interview, kind of like what you're doing, only in a podcast series. But anyway, it's taken off and people love it. And I get inspired by it. It comes out once a week on Mondays on both iTunes and on my website, which is www.lightsong.net.
Yes, I'll put that up on the screen. So lightsong.net is a way that you can find out more about Jan and what she's doing with the school, and also find out how to access the podcast also through iTunes. So,
right.
And again, I see some people on there. So if you are watching us live, feel free to chime in the comments. Let us know if you have questions for Jan, or just tell us where you're watching from. And if you're catching us on the replay, thanks so much again for watching. And again, type in the comments any questions you have for Jan, or just tell us where you're watching from. All right, thanks a lot. And so, so Jan, so going back to also like your experiences with, not just with shamanism, but also with the school, can you share with us, and I kind of asked you about this beforehand, some of the stories that you have come across over the years that are just ones that really stick with you?
Most of the stories that I have are dealing with healing, truly phenomenal healing results that I've seen in people. Again, after doing 3,500 soul retrievals, I mean, that gave me a huge learning lab in order to learn about life, karma, the power of words, other lifetimes, why are we here? All of these different things that the spirits expose during these soul retrieval sessions that I have. And so the healings that I would watch people experience, as far as going from being wrought with grief, let's say, like I remember this one woman that her mother had died 10 years ago, and she still couldn't talk about it without sobbing, just absolutely sobbing, which is not healthy. You shouldn't be sobbing like that in 10 years post a death. And looking at that from a shamanic point, part of her divine essence, part of her soul had actually disassociated from her body, which is what psychology calls when you go through trauma, you disassociate. And that needed to return. In the process, but psychology doesn't say, well, where does it go and how do you get it back? And that's what shamanism does. It says, where does it go and how do you get it back? So in the process of doing the healing work on her, it was a complete turnaround within moments in my office, that grief and pain just disappeared. And not all results are that immediately fast in front of you, but I watched this essence come back into her, and then that grief was gone, which it should have been. I mean, of course you're going to always miss somebody, but it shouldn't put you into trauma, you know?
Yeah.
What I'd really like to talk about, if it's okay with you, is the school and the class coming up, which is our gateway class, which is called Through the Rabbit Hole. Kind of a fun name. And this is an introductory class to shamanism. And in this class, you meet two of your helping spirits, meaning that there is this whole invisible realm that's around us. And quantum physics, by the way, has said that we actually only see 0.01% of what's around us, that there is this whole world that surrounds us that is not within the realm of our visual perception. So our spiritual helpers or allies fall into that category, that they're there near us, but we can't see them. So in this class, we're introduced to them. And that's where I see huge transformation, where people all of a sudden will say, oh my God, I have been so connected to mountain lions all of my life. You know, like, why was I so connected to them? Well, because their power animal that just came in was a mountain lion. And that is normal. I mean, people will have these connections that are just profound. We also get your spirit teacher at that time. And another thing that we learn in that class is a topic called Who Are You? Because people have this very small version of themselves, of who they actually are. They identify themselves with maybe their job or being a parent or a spouse or...
Did you see that comment?
Yes, I saw it. But anyway, they identify themselves with what they do or, again, their social status, something like that. And so we do this deep exploration of the soul through journeying and who the spirits actually see who you are. And that creates transformation in people. They turn on, turn up, light up, are empowered, and start seeing themselves from this completely different version. And they walk out of there empowered. And that's the type of transformation that I witness daily in people. And in these classes, it has inspired me to teach people more of this, because you know, I don't want to just work on people individually. I want to work with groups of people and give them tools, actual tools, so that they can go out and create the type of life that they want, and not from this really limited view of themselves or what life has to offer. Because life has to offer astonishing and outstanding things, and we can connect in that when we start seeing ourselves in this bigger version of ourselves, that we're more than what meets the eye, so to speak.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a million things we could talk about. And I definitely believe that whoever's watching this, you know, if you are watching and you're, you know, somewhat curious about shamanism and you're wondering, okay, well, I don't know how this applies to me, or I'm wondering, if I have to study for a long time or anything, this is a great way to get started. So level 1, so what Jan's talking about is in her school, there are levels that go all the way to the PhD level. So you could get your PhD in shamanism, or you can start with this level 1, which is one weekend. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's coming up not this weekend, but the weekend after.
The 20th through the 22nd.
20th through the 22nd. So we're located locally here is it in Gresham?
Yeah, it's at Mount Hood Community College.
So it's at Mount Hood Community College. And for anybody who's curious, definitely satisfy your curiosity. Anybody who has felt, just that compelled feeling. So I would say it's a calling, right? So you're feeling like you're called. Go ahead and check it out. So I'm going to put up the website again. It's lightsong.net, and you'll be able to go ahead and just register online. So really simple. You can type it in, and there might be a few questions to fill out, but you can just go ahead and register online. It'll give you all the information you need. You'll get sent the information of where to go and where to meet and what to bring and everything like that to be really comfortable in this introduction to shamanism. And I think that, maybe when I first started, I had heard a lot of things about shamanism, and I would say, put those to the side a little bit So we're talking about more of a modern shamanism. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Jan?
Sure. Thank you, Malee. Yes, that is actually why we changed our name to 21st century shamanism, because old shamanism has some baggage. It definitely has some baggage to it. And we didn't want to be under that sort of energetic umbrella of what that meant. And so we changed the name to 21st century because I believe in the 21st century, what healers understand is that truly what changes the world and changes people is love and kindness. Mm-hmm. It's not betrayal. It's not trickery. It's not having power over someone. These different adages that some of old shamanism carries. Carlos Castaneda is a prime example of somebody having power over somebody. We do not follow any of those types of ideas or teachings. And I believe that the type of new world that we're trying to create with the people that we want healthy in there are looking at collaboration, unity, support, and really love and kindness. And so the styles that we use in our healing techniques and in all of the training that we do are based on that community. You belong. You need to be empowered. You have respect. You are a divine being in being a human being, and when we can treat you that way, and you treat others that way, it brings in healing on mass quantity. Because even the vibration, even your broadcast of who you are, your persona, when that changes and goes into a higher place of kindness and well-being, that affects the world. And so that is a 21st century version of shamanism that you're not going to necessarily find out there in the old literature.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to say it again because Jan is so humble. Jan, you're so humble. And she's already changing the world. Okay, so she's created this school. There are thousands of people who've been through the classes. It's there are a lot of other, I would say, people who are shamanic practitioners, people who she's taught and who are doing this and making this the way. And I love that it creates that ripple effect. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I would say this school provides a very structured way of progressing through this journey, right? Not just journeying, not just learning the tools, but also following through this path of your own personal growth. Right. And so I would say that there are so many reasons that you could take this class, right? You could say, okay, I'm interested in shamanism, or okay, I've taken Reiki, or okay, my friend is doing it, or I live in the Gresham area or Portland area, or, that you really believe in personal growth. I mean, there are infinite reasons to go ahead and take this class. I would also say that beyond that, you don't even have to think of beyond that, what's coming up next, or do I need to take the level 2? You don't need to. You can actually just take this level 1 and then see how you feel about it, see where it goes for you. You don't have to have any preconceived notions about what each next level is. There are, obviously hundreds or thousands of people who've gone to those next steps, and you could be one of those people too, if that's kind of your go-to, if you feel like when you go and do something that you really do it in an in-depth way. But you don't have to be like that. And I would also say that if you are somebody who really is interested in that wellness piece and wants to really experience more of, I would say, happiness in life, right? Or you're somebody, okay, all of us, every single person on the planet has experienced some kind of trauma, something in their life, you know, whether it was like at birth or like something you don't even know about, right? Or like just being with your parents or your family, like they can bring up a lot of situations or instances. And if you feel like you still get angry about things, or you still get upset about things, or like you're sobbing when you know you shouldn't be, this is something that, you know, is open to you. It's still open. I would say in the future, you may not be able to get into a class. They might be full. Some of these classes, they take like 50 people in a room, and that's it. And then she's offering it many times a year. And it wasn't always like that. And I would say, like, get in now while you can. You don't know, you know, what the future is going to hold, either for LightSong or for this type of study. And like I said, Jan's very modest about this, so she's not going to do this. So I'll just be like this ad for her and just say it, you know, because I think that it's okay to say it's a really important class. I myself did not, you know, as part of my journey into this, I didn't go into it. Jan might not have heard this story before. So, but I didn't go into it thinking like, oh, I want to learn about shamanism. I'm going to take level 1. I'm actually just a very loyal person. So I had a friend who I had taken Reiki with Colleen Benelli. So Colleen, if you're watching this, hi, you had a wonderful class in Reiki. And so a friend of mine said, I think you really need to take this class. And I actually went in not knowing what it was about.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people
know anything, right? So if you're watching this, I'm telling you as a friend, you should take this class, and you know, just go into it with an open heart, open mind, and just kind of be there to experience it and to experience the community, because I know that it might have been, you know, somewhat of a more gradual shift for me, but I feel like these days I do get to experience true happiness, and I do want to be able to share that with other people. That's another reason why I love having Jan on this interview. You know, she's so down to earth and so grounded, and here she is providing this experience for people so that they can reach a level of transformation that is really hard to describe. I mean, honestly, it's really like hard to describe. But I just came back from this camping trip with my husband. And so I'm kind of like on this like glowy high, you know, where I just feel like, I wish all my friends, all the people I knew got to have this like expanded level of joy. Yes. And that's something that I've personally felt. So if you're watching this and you feel like, you know, sometimes I know there's more out there. Mm-hmm. This is your invitation. So go ahead.
You know, we live in such a fear-based world now. You know, a lot of people have fear, and it's like that fear is controlling your life. It's at the basis of all the decisions that you make, as well as what you're manifesting in your life. And there's other options besides fear. And when you're more empowered, and when you're more connected to things that can supply you support and safety, mm-hmm. a lot of that fear diminishes, and you end up being, like you said, transformed on multiple levels. So yeah, all the things you're saying are right on. That whole idea, is there more to life? Yes, there is more to life. Life, the spirits say, you know, this is a get to. We get to be here to enjoy it. Why do you think you have such a population explosion? You know, people want to be here. They want to incarnate onto the planet. And yeah, you have to learn how to get the most out of what is here. And you're not going to ever understand that if you're in a little tiny box of reality that says this is all there is. That's not true. There is so much more. Yes. And the level 1 is where it all starts. We call it a casual interest. You have a casual interest in anything, even if you just show up to be with a friend. And I have lots of people that do that. They want to be on the buddy system. They've got one friend that wants to do it, and they drag along another friend, you know. And I will say that I have outstanding results in those classes where people are thrilled. They love it. They applaud. They're just like beyond happy with the results in themselves that they receive. And again, it might be something that you just want to do once. And as far as I'm concerned, if I can give you a set of skills in a weekend that you know enough to take a little bit better care of yourself and get the answers you want, manifest better in your life, the things that you actually desire, I'm a happy camper, you know, because I know that skill set is now there, and it's up to you with where you want to take it. You can just say, that's enough for me, I'll practice what I've learned, or you can say, I want more of this. And if you do, we're there, and we can take you to the next level. So again, it's October 20th through 22nd, 2017. I don't know when people are always going to be watching these, but
that's right.
and yeah. And we also have it online in a video series for people that are not in the Portland area, or a lot of people fly in from all over the country for these classes. And so that is not uncommon, but it is offered online for people that want to, they're videos. And so they are interactive in a video form. Because again, my deal is to make people feel included and welcomed. And I felt that I could do that more in a video than I could in auditory. And shamanism is very experiential. There's a section of it, me talking, but then I'm going to give you experiences of being in contact with the spiritual realm that are undeniable. You will feel it, you know, yeah. And then how do you make those kind of contacts too? So
wonderful. And so I'm just going to put up the website again. So it's at lightsong.net. And I didn't even know that, you know, Jan has a video series, so you can learn it also online if you're not local. And if you are not local, I would actually recommend that you plan either, if you're local, go ahead and come to this next one, or if you're not local, plan on coming to the next one after that. I think that there are 4 times a year. And
actually, Malee, we're reducing them to just twice a year now.
Twice a year.
So the next one will be in January, starting off for 2018, January, and then September. And because what we found is so many people want to continue. They get so charged with it that we had to design the curriculum in a way that would be able to pick that up. So that's the new format.
Okay. So like I said, we don't know if they'll go away. So do it now. They're only twice a year, apparently.
Great.
And so September, and then the next one's in January. And just so you know that I'm serious about it too. I've probably taken like all the core classes, and I'm doing it again. Just you know, because I'm interested. It's not like, I mean, I probably have enough like credits to go get my PhD, but for me, it's really like a personal journey. And so, you know, for whatever reasons that you come into it or you're interested, I believe in it. And so if you're a friend of mine and you're just watching this and you're like, oh, well, I'm kind of interested, but I like to talk about it more, feel free to message me. I'm happy to chat with you more about it. And I'm sure, you know, Jan also has staff if you want to call, you know, LightSong and talk to one of her office staff about it some more. They can answer some basic questions too. But the level 1 is really where you start. LightSong and what Jan is doing is very different from other things that you're seeing out there. Maybe you see it on Meetup or you're just Googling it. And I would say it's because of the level of depth that, you know, the studies take you, and how Jan, how you do things out of integrity, and that it's got that real foundation of love and kindness. I mean, it's really coming from that. And I think that, those are some really important things that I wanted to just quickly mention. Is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think along with that is that we have a very strong curriculum. And in fact, we got a great nod from OHSU, which is the research hospital here in Portland. And they were struggling because the guys and women coming back from Afghanistan with the strong PTSD, and they weren't sure what to do with this. They were looking for new ways of working with these people. And so we did a pilot study for them using the techniques that we have for healing. And that now that's published in a medical journal. That just happened probably about 3 months ago. It finally got published.
Oh,
and so we got a strong nod with them. And I asked them, I said, why us? Like, why out of all the different shamanic institutions that you could contact, why did you pick us? And they said, because of your curriculum. You have such a solid curriculum. We know that every one of your practitioners is not only well trained, but they're trained in a way that you can qualify. And they know what they're doing. And that's what we needed to do for a pilot study for medical reasons. So anyway.
Wow. Congratulations. That is so wonderful. I can remember way back when it was like first introduced. And so it's great that now it's published and everything.
Yeah. It was a long road, but it's as any of those kind of things are, but it's fabulous. It's really, and you know what? The best part is that it worked. We had such success with these people that other therapies just weren't able to touch. And so, if they're better, then that makes it all worthwhile. So
it's about the healing and really giving, like I said, from a place of love and kindness and helping really heal the people on this planet. And heal the planet. So I love it. One of the things I want to mention before we wrap up is, I'm going to put it on the screen. It's a Facebook group that is brand new that is called Shamanism, LightSong Community.
Right.
And so if you're watching this and you want to get more involved, or you are part of the LightSong community, go ahead and join the group. Mm-hmm. And I know, Jan, you have some things planned for sharing just with that group. It's a closed group, but you'll be able to find it on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And do you want to say anything else about that group right now?
Well, this was something that was a result of a conversation that I had with you, just about these video programs and having a format for that. I have a strong outreach to the public on the benefits of shamanism and energy medicine. And I thought that Facebook group doing these types of videos would be a great format to do. And so it hasn't even launched yet, but yeah, getting signups and I will be posting all kinds of things on there to help people have tools to improve themselves, self-improvement, because like you said, Malee, it's all about happiness and how do you even become happy, and the way that I look at it is happiness is a choice. So first you decide that that's important to you, that that's something that you want to do. And then once you make that choice, then how do you go about making the changes that you need to do to provide that? And that's part of the things that I can supply for people. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all you do. And yes, if you're watching this, go ahead and join that Facebook group called Shamanism, LightSong Community. It's another avenue to receive information that you won't get anywhere else. Right. You're not going to get that necessarily even from the classes or the podcast. This is really specific information to the community, and also a good place to ask questions if you have them. And I thank you so much, Jan, for being with me and to take these questions and to share what you're doing. I feel so blessed, so honored to be able to do this. And for those of you who are also watching, you can find more about me at sacredfirecreative.com. And again, my business is Sacred Fire Creative. We are a full service design and marketing agency. Jan is a client of mine. We did the website for LightSong. And we also do all kinds of marketing depending on where you are. So we like to do marketing that really makes sense for you. There's not a one size fits all solution for everybody. You know, it really depends on who your client is and who you're trying to reach. And for me, again, it's really important that I'm working with inspirational leaders who are making that big positive impact on the world. I see it as, you know, I am in this form, I am this one person, and how many people can I help in this capacity? I want to make sure that I'm also creating the ripple effect that I can and giving people the most impact that I can, and working with people who are passionate about creating this wellness, creating a really positive community and building up what we have already started and Jan has started in this world. So, and if that calls to you, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to work with you. And thanks again for being on here. We're signing. Feel free to comment and be sure to share this. Thanks so much. And thanks so much, Jan.
Yes, thank you. And I look forward to having you in Circle again. I was thrilled when I got your email that you wanted to be back in classes. So yeah, that's going to be fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.